Hey everybody, Eric Smith here with a little game I want to play that I stole from somebody else. Moid Moidelhoff of Media Death Cult has done this game a couple of times. He recently just did this for the Arthur C. Clarke Awards, and if you're a fan of science fiction, you should check out his YouTube channel, Media Death Cult. He talks about reviews, science fiction books, movies. He's got a lot of top 10 lists and things. And he delves into horror and fantasy a little bit, but mainly it's science fiction. I seem to be getting off topic. Let's talk about what this game is. What I'm doing, since I'm primarily a horror guy, is the Bram Stoker Awards game. And essentially, I'm going to read over the winners of the Bram Stoker Awards, according to Wikipedia, and for every book that you own, you get a point. For every book that you've read, you get a point. And we'll see what kind of points we get. Who's the winner here? Now, first of all, according to Wikipedia, the Bram Stoker Award for Novel is an award presented by the Horror Writers Association for superior achievement in horror writing for novels. There are plenty of categories in the Bram Stoker Awards. I'm concentrating on novels right now. I hope to do this again for the Splatterpunk Awards, the novels there, and then maybe I'll do first novels or novelettes or short story collections, short story collections, something. We'll see how this goes. But basically, I've got the Wikipedia page for Bram Stoker Award for Novel in front of me. I'm going to go through all of the winners, and I'll show you the books that I happen to have. I've already written down my score. And then you can go through and score them up for yourself and see how you do. Let's see. The Bram Stoker Awards, as I understand it, were first presented in 1988 for books from 1987. So when I give you the year, it's going to be, since this is the way that Wikipedia has it laid out, it's going to be for the year the book came out, not for the year it won the award. So the first ones are going to be 1987. They won the award in 1988. I think I have that correct. So, is that clear? Is everybody following along? Here we go. 1987. There were actually two winners. Again, this is all according to Wikipedia. And so number one is Misery by Stephen King. This is a beat up, used copy, but I wanted the old one. Wanted an old copy, and it's even got the Misery's Return by Paul Sheldon cover on the inside. Misery. I own it. I've read it. So there you go. Right off the bat, I got 2 points. We'll put it over here. The other winner in 1987 was Swan Song by Robert R. Mccammon. This one's actually not in bad condition. Love these covers. I'm trying to get all of my Robert R. McCammons with these covers, which is why I don't have a few of them, because I'm picky. I want this series of covers. But anyway, Swan Song, Robert R. Mccammon, obviously I own it, and I have read it. So there you go. That's another 2 points for me. And Moid Moidelhoff was a bit of a snob, just teasing. He only counted if you own a physical copy of the book. But I'm not going to be that way, even though most of what I have is physical. If you have a digital copy, we'll count that as well. So there you go. All right, so that was 1987. We had two winners, Stephen King for Misery, Robert R. Mccammon for Swan Song. 1988, the winner was The Silence of the Lambs by Thomas Harris. I do not have a copy of it, but I have read it. Read it when it first came out. Let's move on. 1989. Carrion Comfort by Dan Simmons. Haven't read it. Don't own it. 1990. Mine by Robert R. Mccammon. I have read it. I don't own a copy at the moment. And then 1991. Boy's Life, Robert R. Mccammon. Obviously own a copy, and I have read it. A lot of people pick this as their favorite coming-of-age story. Very popular. Good book. So that's another 2 points for me. 1992, Blood of the Lamb by Thomas F. Monteleone. Not sure if that's how you say his name. Haven't read it. Don't own it. 1993, we have The Throat by Peter Straub. Haven't read it. Don't own it. Moid Moidelhoff is real fancy with his videos. He had pictures of the covers of every one of the books pop up, whether he owned it or not. I'm not that fancy, so you're just going to have to look this crap up for yourselves. And you can obviously go on Wikipedia if you want to look at the list, which also has all the nominees, but we're not getting into that. 1994, Dead in the Water by Nancy Holder. I've read a bunch of Nancy Holder, but I haven't read this one. So there you go. And looking at a bunch of the nominees, I've read a bunch of those, but that's not what we're here for. 1995, Zombie by Joyce Carol Oates. I have read that one. I do not own a copy, but I have read it. It's wild. 1996, The Green Mile by Stephen King. I used to own the original serialized versions, but I've never read it, and I've never seen the movie, and I no longer own it. But I'll pick it up at some point. 1997, Children of the Dusk by Janet Berliner and George Guthridge. Hopefully I've said her last name correctly. Not one I'm even familiar with. 1998, Bag of Bones by Stephen King. Don't own it, haven't read it. I see a lot of sweat pouring down because it's really hot in here. And I have a floor fan, but I'm afraid it would make far too much noise. The ceiling fan's already kind of loud. Anyway, 1999, Mr. X by Peter Straub. I don't own it, I haven't read it. 2000, The Traveling Vampire Show by Richard Lehman. I know this is a favorite of a lot of people. I do not own it, and I have not read it yet. 2001, hey, another one that I have. American Gods by Neil Gaiman. I have read this. I haven't read this copy, which is the... I thought somewhere it said that this was like... Oh, this is the updated and expanded with the author's preferred text. I read it when it first came out, but I wanted Neil Gaiman in these sort of pulpy covers, so I bought a new copy. Have not read it yet. This also says it is winner of a Hugo and Nebula Awards. Does not mention the Bram Stoker Awards, but American Gods, great book. Haven't seen the show. Then, in 2002, technically in 2003, for 2002, I shouldn't say that. I don't want to confuse people. The Night Class by Tom Piccirilli. Have not read it. Don't own it. 2003, Lost Boy, Lost Girl by Peter Straub. Don't own it. Haven't read it. 2004, In the Night Room, Peter Straub. A lot of repeats here. Don't own it. Haven't read it. 2005, we've got a tie again. There's two. So first, I'm going to go with Dread in the Beast by Charlie Jacob. I may have owned this at one point, but I do not own it now, and I have not read it. The other winner is Creepers by David Morrell, the author of First Blood, and I don't own it, but I have read it. It was a very good book about urban explorers and the shenanigans that happen. 2006, Lizzie's Story by Stephen King. I'm always curious if that's how you actually pronounce the title of that book. TV show. is it out now? I think it's on Apple Plus or something. I don't remember what streaming service it's on. I'm not sure if it's out yet or coming out very soon at the time I'm recording this. But it was a winner. Don't have it, haven't read it. 2007, The Missing by Sarah Langan. An author I should read, but I do not own this. I have not read it. I'm not getting a lot of points here. But I am going to get a point now. 2008, Douma by Stephen King. I do not own it, but I have read it. It was the book that sort of brought me back to Stephen King. I had not read a ton of his stuff in a long time, and someone recommended this that I absolutely had to read it, so I picked it up and I read it. I didn't love it, but it did get me back into trying old Mr. King again. I think the next thing I read by him was Under the Dome, which I did love. Anyway, 2009, we have Audrey's Door by Sarah Langan again. Don't have it, haven't read it. 2010, A Dark Matter, Peter Straub. Man, that guy's everywhere. Don't have it, haven't read it. I really need to read more Peter Straub. Flesh Eaters. 2011, Flesh Eaters by Joe Mckinney. It's a zombie novel, part of a series. I read the first one, and it didn't really do anything for me, so I haven't read any of the rest. But apparently, people were happy with Flesh Eaters in 2011. 2012, The Drowning Girl by Caitlin R. Kiernan. Don't own it, haven't read it. I have read, I believe, some Caitlin R. Kiernan, and should read more. There you go. 2013, Dr. Sleep by Stephen King. I have not read this one yet. I bought it just before the movie came out because I wanted to read it before seeing the movie. Still haven't seen the movie yet, so I have time to read this. Of course, it's the sequel to The Shining. I've heard mixed things about both the book and the movie, so we'll see. But I get a point, 1 point at least, because I own it. Let's see. Next up, in 2014, Bloodkin by Stephen Raznick Tem. I've read, I believe, some Stephen Raznick Tem, but not this one, Bloodkin. 2015, A Head Full of Ghost by Paul G. Tremblay. Actually, just got this relatively recently, either earlier this year or late last year. I have not read it yet, but I am looking forward to it. I read Survivor Song, and I really enjoyed that. So I get a point for owning it. No point, because I haven't read it. And then 2016, The Fisherman by John Langan. I hear good things, just haven't read any. 2017, Ararat by Christopher Golden. I'm a big Christopher Golden fan, but I have not read this one, and I don't have a copy at the moment. Excuse me. 2018, The Cabin at the End of the World by Paul G. Tremblay. I don't have a copy of this, haven't read it. 2019, Coyote Rage by Owl Going Back. Again, haven't read it, don't have a copy. Absolutely want to get a copy and read it. I remember, I go way back with Owl Going Back to the Paperbacks from Hell days. Let's see now. So the last one from 2020, you can tell by my movements that I have this. And it is The Only Good Indians by Stephen Graham Jones. Obviously, I own it. I have read it. You can see my review on my channel. Great book. I'd say deserving of the win, except I haven't read everything else that was nominated, but absolutely loved this one. So there you go. The Only Good Indians by Stephen Graham Jones. So that's everything we've got for the Bram Stoker Awards for Best Novel. Got a little notebook here. And a little hash mark for everyone I owned. A little hash mark for everyone I read. My score is not high at all. I own 7 of the books that are on this list, and I've read 10. So my total score is only 17. That is horrible. So, everybody, go through your books, go through this list. I don't expect you to have jotted down or remembered everything that I went over here, so just go on Wikipedia and find the list, and let me know what your scores are. And you can break it up. You can just give me your total score. You can break it up into which ones you own and which ones, or how many you own, how many you've read. Throw some titles in there if something really impressed you. But that's it. That's, according to Wikipedia, the winners of the Bram Stoker Award for Best Novel, or Superior Achievement in horror writing for novels, however you want to put it. Maybe someday, just for the hell of it, if anyone's interested, I'll go through the entire list. I'm not going to be pulling out books. It took me quite a bit of time just to dig some of these out, because my books, unfortunately, are a bit of a mess because I ran out of shelf space. But anyway, I might just go through this whole list and talk about some of the nominees, or go over all of the nominees and highlight some of them, ones I've read, ones I've really liked. But there you have it. So I'll do this, as I said, I'll do this again for the Splatterpunks, which have not been around as long. And maybe I'll do it for Achievement in First Novel, novellas, short story collections, whatever, if people are interested. And if not, hey, let's blame Moid Moidelhoff. I stole this idea from him. So there you have it. That's the Bram Stoker Awards game. And if you have any comments, questions, or corrections, just put them in the comments below. Comments are open for spoilers. Although, I mean, we're not really discussing things. We're not reviewing anything. So, but they are open for spoilers. Just post a spoiler warning. We try to be polite here on my channel. Please like, share, and subscribe. Excuse me. And if you want to follow me on other social media, my Twitter is @Ronin5757. My Instagram, where I post pictures of books, comics, board games, and furry animals, is ErikSmith5757. That's Eric with a K, ERIKSMITH 5757. That's all I've got. That's it. So until next time, read more books.